Picture this. It's 1963, and a small plane is flying low over a silent stretch of Florida swampland. The men inside aren't surveyors, they're on a secret mission. What they're about to do will quietly reshape Central Florida forever and create the most ambitious theme park project the world has ever seen. This is the complete untold history of how Walt Disney's final dream became Walt Disney World. I'm Lee with All About the Duck. And to really get Walt Disney World, you first have to understand the problem with Disneyland. When Walt opened his first park in Anaheim back in 1955, he invented a whole new kind of family entertainment. But he only controlled the land the park itself sat on. Almost overnight, a jungle of motels, cheap souvenir shops, and fast food restaurants grew up right outside his gates. He called it a second rate Las Vegas, and he was determined not to let that happen again. The solution? Land. Lots and lots of it. Enough land to build not just a park, but an entire world. Enough to create what he called the blessing of size. And so the top secret hunt for Project X, later known as the Florida Project, began. The search quickly zeroed in on Central Florida. In November of 1963, Walt flew over a site near Orlando and knew he'd found it. It was perfect, a massive area of cheap, undeveloped land right where the planned Interstate 4 and Florida's Turnpike would cross. Then came the secrecy. Starting in 1964, a small team of Disney executives and lawyers launched one of the most elaborate corporate land grabs in history. They created fake companies like names like the I-4 Corporation and the Reedy Creek Ranch Corporation, many of which you can now see honored on the second story windows of Main Street, USA. They traveled under aliases and hired consultants from Miami to throw reporters off the scent. The local papers were buzzing with speculation. Was it Howard Hughes buying the land? Maybe the space program. Over the next 18 months, they secretly pieced together an empire buying up nearly 27,500 acres from 51 different landowners. The total cost was just over 5 million, averaging out to about $182 an acre. To put that in perspective, Walt bought the first acre for around $80 and the very last acre after The Secret was out for a whopping $80,000. The whole operation finally blew open in October of 1965 when a sharp witted Orlando Sentinel reporter, Emily Bavara, pieced the clues together and correctly guessed that Disney was the mystery buyer. With the cat out of the bag, there was only one thing left to do. On November 15th of 1965, Walt and his brother Roy, standing next to the governor of Florida, officially announced their dream for a new kind of Disney destination. But this wasn't just going to be Disneyland East. In a film recorded in October of 1966, just 2 months before his death, Walt laid out a breathtaking vision. He pointed to plans for a full blown resort community, a theme park, hotels, and recreation, sure. But at its heart was a revolutionary concept called EPCOT, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. This wasn't a park, it was meant to be a real living city, a blueprint for the future of urban life. Then in December of 1966, the world was stunned. Walt Disney died, and the entire Florida project hung in the balance. Many assumed the company would abandon the plan, but Walt's older brother, Roy O. Disney, who had been about to retire, postponed it indefinitely. He stepped up to make sure his brother's last dream would become a reality. In a profoundly moving gesture, he insisted the project be renamed from Disney World to Walt Disney World, so no one would ever forget the man who started it all. Construction officially kicked off on May 30th of 1967. The scale was unlike anything seen before. It was the largest private construction project on the planet at the time. They had to literally tame a swamp, digging 43 miles of canals just to drain the land. They built roads, infrastructure, and then the magic. In just over 2 years, 9,000 workers were hired to build this new world. They constructed the towering A frame contemporary resort by building modular guest rooms on the ground and lifting them into the hotel's frame with a crane. They built the Polynesian Village Resort, and deep beneath the Magic Kingdom, they created a network of service tunnels called utilidors, just so a cowboy from Frontierland would never be seen wandering through Tomorrowland, perfectly preserving the show for the guest above. This attention to detail, even underground, set the standard for everything Disney would build next. By the time the gates were ready to swing open, the total cost had exploded from the initial estimate of 100 million to a staggering 400 million. October 1st, 1971, opening day, after all the years of secret planning and massive construction, Walt Disney World was finally open for business. The company had initially chosen the off season to open, hoping for smaller crowds to work out any bugs. About 10,000 visitors showed up that first day. Mickey Mouse himself was there to escort the Windsor family, the very first official guest, into the Magic Kingdom. Guests that day found a park with over 20 attractions spread across 6 themed lands. They could cruise through the jungle, fly with Dumbo, spin in a Mad Tea Party teacup, or listen to the audio animatronics Country Bear Jamboree. They could also stay at two incredible hotels, the Contemporary and the Polynesian Village, connected by a futuristic monorail that sliced right through the Contemporary's grand lobby. Just a month later, the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground opened its gates. The official grand dedication ceremony on October 25th was a star studded national television event with celebrities like Bob Hope and Julie Andrews. A 4,000 person parade marched right down Main Street, complete with trumpet fanfares from the rooftops. The impact on Central Florida was immediate and explosive. In its first 2 years, Walt Disney World attracted 20 million visitors and employed 13,000 people, transforming the quiet citrus town of Orlando into Florida's fastest growing city. And the park just kept growing. The fan favorite, Pirates of the Caribbean, opened in 1973. The Hoop-Dee-Doo musical review, now one of America's longest running dinner shows, premiered in 1974. And on January 15th of 1975, Tomorrowland blasted into the future with the grand opening of Space Mountain and the Carousel of Progress. 2 years later, in 1977, the beloved Main Street Electrical Parade made its glowing debut in Florida. The first phase of Walt's dream was a massive success, but the most ambitious part was still to come. After Walt's death, his original vision of Epcot as a living city was seen as just too ambitious and impractical. The board of directors couldn't imagine running an actual city, but the Imagineers didn't want to let the dream die completely. So the idea evolved. What if Epcot wasn't a city, but a permanent World's Fair, a place that could celebrate both human achievement and global culture? Construction started in October of 1979, and it was another monumental task, costing between 800 million and 1.4 billion and employing over 10,000 workers. The park was split into two distinct realms: Future World, with sleek pavilions dedicated to science and technology, and World Showcase, a collection of national pavilions surrounding a massive lagoon. On October 1st of 1982, Epcot Center opened its gates. Greeting guests at the entrance was the park's icon, Spaceship Earth, a colossal geodesic sphere that took more than 2 years to build. Inside, visitors were invited to explore the future of communication, energy, and imagination. In World Showcase, they could walk from Mexico to China in minutes, experiencing the food, culture, and art of different nations. At first, attendance was slow, but it grew quickly, soon matching the numbers at Magic Kingdom. It was a totally new kind of theme park, one that blended education with entertainment, and it proved that the public was hungry for more than just fantasy. Walt's utopia was never built, but his spirit of optimism and progress was alive and well. The 1980s brought a new challenge to Orlando. Universal Studios announced plans to build its own movie theme park, and Disney's new leadership, Michael Eisner and Frank Wells, decided to strike first. The result was Disney's MGM Studios, which opened on May 1st of 1989. This was the Hollywood that never was and always will be. Disney's answer to Universal Studios and the start of the Orlando theme park wars. Unlike the Magic Kingdom, this was designed as a working studio where guests could see actual movies and TV shows being filmed, mixed with attractions that put them right inside their favorite films. On opening day, it was a half day park at best, with just a few main attractions like the Great Movie Ride and the Backstage Studio Tour. But it was a bold statement. The resort was quickly becoming a destination that demanded a multi day stay. That same year, Pleasure Island opened, a district of nightclubs and restaurants designed for adults. A wave of new hotels followed, with Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort in 1988, and later the Wilderness Lodge and the All Star Sports Resort in 1994. Hollywood Studios itself expanded with the addition of the iconic Sunset Boulevard in 1994, which would soon become home to the terrifying Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. The theme park wars had officially begun in Orlando, and Disney was ready to fight. From a secret project to a sprawling resort, and the story is only halfway over. If you're enjoying this journey through Disney's history, make sure you subscribe and click that bell so you don't miss what comes next. And let us know in the comments, what's your favorite memory from these early years of Walt Disney World? By the mid 90s, Disney was ready for its next giant leap. The concept was something totally different: a theme park built around the natural world and animal conservation. This would be a new species of park, blending lush natural habitats with that classic Disney storytelling. On Earth Day of April 22nd of 1998, Disney's Animal Kingdom opened its gates. Then CEO Michael Eisner dedicated it as a kingdom of animals, real, ancient, and imagined. Instead of a castle, the park's heart was the Tree of Life, a massive man made tree with hundreds of animal carvings woven into its trunk and roots. The opening day park was beautiful, but a little confusing for some guests. Was it a zoo or was it a theme park? Attractions like Kilimanjaro safaris brought guests face to face with live animals roaming across a vast savanna. Countdown to Extinction, which we know as Dinosaur, sent them back into time to rescue a dinosaur from an asteroid impact. But with fewer rides than the other parks, some of the initial reactions were mixed. But like all Disney parks, it evolved. The Asia section opened in 1999, bringing with it Kali River Rapids and a few years later, the thrilling Expedition Everest. The park found its rhythm, striking a balance between incredible animal encounters, stunning live shows like Festival of the Lion King, and thrilling attractions. It carved out its own unique identity and became a beloved part of the Walt Disney World experience. The new millennium kicked off a period of incredible transformation across the entire resort. Downtown Disney began a multi year reimagining, and in 2015, it officially became Disney Springs, a massive sprawling district of themed neighborhoods filled with high end shopping, unique restaurants, and live entertainment. But the biggest changes were happening inside the parks. The age of IP, or intellectual property, was in full swing. In 2017, Animal Kingdom unveiled its most ambitious expansion ever, Pandora, the world of Avatar. This breathtakingly immersive land brought James Cameron's cinematic universe to life, letting guests walk among floating mountains and fly on the back of banshees. Hollywood Studios, once that half day park, was undergoing a radical makeover. Toy Story Land opened in 2018, shrinking guests to the size of a toy in Andy's backyard. Then in 2019, the park debuted one of the most anticipated theme park lands ever built, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Opening on August 29th of 2019, it transported guests to the remote planet of Batu, letting them pilot the Millennium Falcon and face off against the First Order in a massive interactive world. Just a year later, the park introduced Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, the first ever ride through attraction starring Mickey Mouse himself. Transportation also took a big leap forward in 2019 with the launch of the Disney Skyliner, a gondola system that connects EPCOT and Hollywood Studios to several resorts, offering bird's eye views of the property. The entire resort then celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2021 with an 18-month long party featuring new nighttime shows and decorations across all four parks. And the evolution is far from over. Disney has announced plans to invest an astonishing 17 billion into Walt Disney World over the next decade. The changes are already on the horizon. According to recent announcements, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is set to reopen in the spring of 2026 after a major refurbishment with new story elements. That same year, Rock and Roller Coaster at Hollywood Studios is slated for a retheme featuring the Muppets. And Soarin' will return to its original Across America version for the USA's 250th anniversary. But based on current plans, the biggest changes are coming to Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom. In 2027, Dino Land USA at Animal Kingdom is scheduled to be replaced by a new land theme to the tropical Americas. It will feature a village called Pueblo Esperanza and new attractions based on the hit films from Encanto and Indiana Jones. And in what's being called the largest expansion in Magic Kingdom's history, construction is expected to begin on new lands behind Big Thunder Mountain. These plans include areas dedicated to Pixar's Cars and a long awaited land themed to Disney's iconic villains. Magic remains, always growing and changing, forever plusing the show, just as Walt would have wanted. What part of Disney World's history fascinates you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the stories behind the magic. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you real soon.